Hi and welcome back to MRTV. Here it finally is. This is the RTX 3080. I've been waiting for this for a long time, and now I can finally pit this against the 2080 Ti and give you VR benchmarks comparisons. So how much better is this as compared to the 2080 Ti? How much more FPS do you get in your favorite VR games? Like, for example, DCS World. Well, I'm going to tell you in this video. So absolutely stay tuned, watch the whole video, because all of this goodness is coming up. Before we get into the video, I would like to say thank you to my hardware partner, XMG. XMG has provided me with this 3080, so without XMG, I could not make this video at all. For all of you who don't know XMG yet, XMG is making these high-end laptops for gaming enthusiasts and content creators like me. This is the XMG Neo 15, and I'm using this laptop together with my HP Reverb G2 and also for my Quest 2 for link mode. So if you want to find out more about the Neo 15, I've checked it out for you here. Also, if you're still looking for a desktop computer for your HP Reverb G2 or for your Pimax headsets, check out the XMG Trinity series that I've also checked out here. So again, thank you for XMG for making this video possible. So let's get to the unboxing. This is the Asus Republic of Gamers Strix version of the 3080, and the packaging looks like this. And this is the GPU here with the 3 fans. Looks massive, feels massive, and I'm looking forward to try that out for you. Important here for the Strix version of the 3080, you will need 3 8-pin connectors to power this card. And for me, I first had to find another 8-pin connector to make this happen. Other than that, you have 2 HDMI ports and 3 display ports. What you don't have anymore is a USB-C connection. So if you want to connect your G2, for example, to your computer, you will need to use another port. Now let's start with the benchmarks here, and we start here with the OpenVR Benchmark tool. And now, as you can tell, you don't see any movement here, but actually in the VR headset I did see some movement. And here, yeah, it's like a slideshow, but in the headset you did see something here. And the great thing about the OpenVR Benchmark is you can perfectly compare the different GPUs because always the same scene is being played. So here we could do 18.6 frames per second here for the 2080 Ti. Now with the 3080, you can tell that it's much better. You have 28.76 frames per second here, and that is 54% more frames with the 3080 as compared to the 2080 Ti. But now let's get to the real world test, and we're starting here with Project Cars 2 on the 2080 Ti. So, with the OpenVR Benchmark, it is normal that you get under 90 frames per second. It is made to be like this, to be really taxing on the GPU. So now, with the real-world test, I mean, okay, with these games, you're getting higher frame rates. So here, with Project Cars 2 on the 2080 Ti, I get to 50 frames per second on average. And let's compare this now with the 3080. All right, and here we are, Project Cars 2 on the 3080, and I could directly tell this is way better. So, first of all, I'm using 100% super sampling here with the G2. So I'm running everything here on the Reverb G2, as you know, very high resolution, and I have the reprojection actually turned off here for all the tests. And here I have an average of 84.7 frames per second, and that is 69% more frames per second. So very, very big improvement. And now we get to Star Wars Squadrons here on the 2080 Ti. First of all, let me tell you, I have the graphics settings all maxed up. And I'm not trying to run this here at 90 frames per second. I'm simply trying to give this a hard time so that we can see the difference. I could run everything on 90 frames per second here also with the 2080 Ti if I would go down with the graphics settings. So here we get to 58 frames per second. And now let's compare this with the 3080. And here I can also tell you it was so much more smooth in the headset in the G2 here with that high graphics settings and the 3080. Actually, it was a huge difference. And here we get to an average of 73.6 frames per second for the 3080, and that is 27% more frames per second here on the 3080 as compared to the 2080 Ti. And now we're getting to Medal of Honor Above and Beyond. As you know, very taxing on the GPU. And here for the 2080 Ti, we get to an average FPS of around 50 frames per second. Of course, I'm using the same computer here for these tests. The only thing that I'm exchanging is the GPU here, and for the desktop computer, it's an XMG Trinity with a Ryzen 9 3900X with 64 GB of RAM. So if you want to know more about this computer, check out the link here.
Yes, sir.
Now, we're checking out the same scene here with the 3080. And with the 3080, I could tell this is running way better. And with the 3080, we got to an average frames per second of 72.8. And that is really good. That is 46% more frames per second here with the 3080. Now we're getting to Aerofly FS2, and the game is so optimized. Actually, with the 2080 Ti, it also runs at 90 frames per second easily, so I'm making it a bit harder by changing the render scale factor to 1.6. And now this is the 2080 Ti with Everfly FS2 with the render scale factor at 1.6, making it harder. So with this setting here, we're getting to an average FPS of around 50 frames per second. And I can just tell you, this looks so sharp in the G2. Oh my goodness, it's just such a joy. All right, so let's have a look here at the same game with the same settings with the 3080. And yes, I can tell it runs much smoother here with the 3080. And here we get to an average FPS of around 75 frames per second. And that means we have 48% more FPS here with the 3080. So absolutely worth it. And now we're getting to DCS World, and as we all know, DCS is really tough for computers to render lots of FPS here. And I'm using the VR graphic settings, the VR preset here for both for the 2080 Ti and for the 3080. And I'm not expecting a huge improvement because this is more about the CPU this game. So here with the 2080, we're getting to 47 frames per second on average. And now here with the 3080, I can tell that it looks better, but it's not a huge difference here with the 3080. So this is really more about your CPU. And here on average, we are getting to 48.4 frames per second on average. So not a huge improvement, only 3% better. But again, DCS is really something different here. As you could tell, it's absolutely worth it to upgrade from your 2080 Ti to a 3080 or to upgrade to this card from whichever older generation car you're coming from. This is really nice, and games that were not really smooth on the 2080 Ti are now smooth in the 3080. So hopefully these GPUs will be widely available very soon. And once this is the case, I'm going to put a link down in the description of this video so you can simply pick it up from Amazon. So also in general, if you're looking for a GPU for virtual reality, for your Valve Index or for your Quest 2 with link cable or for the Reverb G2, I would recommend you the 3080 right now. Again, if you can get it, simply get it. It's a great GPU. One thing though I do have to mention, and that applies to everyone who owns a Reverb G2. So with the Reverb G2 and the 2080 Ti, I had no problems whatsoever. But with this 3080, I had problems in the SteamVR home environment. The SteamVR home environment was stuttering, and it was stuttering so badly that I had to turn it off. Well, it's not a problem at all. You can still play all of your SteamVR games, and in general, everything works fine, but you won't have this SteamVR home environment. So again, I had to turn it off. I believe this will be fixed soon by a software update or a driver update, but at this moment in time, I did have problems with the SteamVR home environment. All right, and that's it for this video. If you liked it and if you enjoy my content, then help me with the algorithm. Give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. For example, you could tell me what you think about the 3080 and if you want to buy it once it's available. Also, if you want to get more content from me, if you love this channel and want to support it and get more content, then become a member of the MRTV Elite at mrtvelite.com, my Patreon channel, where you can get a look behind the scenes. And yeah, it is really good. I would be happy to see you there. Also, if you've not yet subscribed to MRTV yet, then absolutely do that and click on the bell button so that you don't miss anything. As you can tell, you have lots of things to do here. And I'm looking forward to see you in the next episode.